Welcome back, everybody. You know what time it is. It's Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the Relationship Gumbo Podcast Live Edition. And tonight, it's just like every other time. It's going to be an amazing topic. I have an amazing guest. One of my brothers is on tonight. And you guys are going to recognize him because you see him out here a lot in these streets. And we also co-host along with three other gentlemen the show on Monday nights called Real Shop Talk. So we'll talk about that later. But first thing I want you to do is share and invite. Share and invite this with your friends and your family. This is a topic that a lot of people overlook. A lot of relationships deal with assuming that your partner can read your mind. And there's a lot of times that you get into arguments over this kind of thing. So we're going to talk about this topic tonight. We're going to peel back some of the layers of the onion. But first, I want to make sure that everything is going where it needs to go. And so I want you to give me 30 seconds and I'll be back on the other side and we'll get started.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derek Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo, ayy.
All right. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you share and invite. This is going to be a good one tonight. If you don't know, this is also an audio podcast. So that means podcast, Spotify, Alexa, Pandora, iHeartRadio, like basically wherever you can get a podcast, I'm there. So make sure that you not only go back to listen to this one, but go back and listen to all. It's a catalog. I want to say 90. It's 98 episodes. A lot. So go back and pick and choose your poison. There's a lot of good topics. We almost at 100. I might have to do a special show for the 100th show. We might have to get some folks up here for the 100th show. So stay tuned for that because that one, I think I have an idea for that. So without further ado, if you are new to the show, I normally pause for 3 seconds. Start the podcast, and at the end of the podcast, I pause for another 3 seconds so I can chop it off and get that good audio for you in the middle. So give me those 3 seconds and we're going to get started. Welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones, and I am your host. I'm a certified life and relationship coach, an engineer, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And we are on the tail end of Minority Mental Health Month. And all of these relationship topics kind of touch on mental health anyway. So we doing that anyway. So what I want to do now, first and foremost, I normally give a little spiel about the guest in the beginning, but I'm going to bring him on the screen while I do the spiel because this is my boy right here. We're about to talk about this topic tonight. Tonight's topic is, are you allowing yourself to feel like your partner needs to read your mind in order to get what you mean or what you want? Like, are you expecting them to read your mind? So we're going to talk about that at length tonight, but we really want to get him up here so that we can start this thing off. So let me unmute him. Now, first, before you speak, Mr. Watts, this is, like I said earlier, even before this actual podcast started, Tony and I are 2 of 5 members of a show that we do every Monday night at 8 p.m. called Real Shop Talk. And if you want to check that out, go to realshoptalk.net. We'll go ahead and talk about that part of it later. But this has been an amazing journey. Tony has kind of assembled a group of guys, and somehow divine intervention kicked in, and this thing is working, and it's taken off, and we're excited about it. And I was like, who better to have on the show than one of my co-hosts, one of my brothers, my now brothers. I can call y'all brothers now because I always tell people I'm the dude that sits in the cut. I like to be the dude behind the scenes, man. But I've welcomed you all as brothers, and I look forward to what's going to happen in the future. And I want you to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and we're going to get right into this topic.
Well, thank you for the topic. The topic is dope. Because oh my gosh. Well, I'm Tony Watts. I'm the host of Triumphant TV on YouTube and on Facebook. We do everything Black excellence there. And when I say everything Black excellence, I'm incorporating the entire human species because we can't do one thing without the other being involved. Um, Also, I'm a life coach, relationship coach. I'm an NLP practitioner. We here to heal people. We here to make people, feel better about themselves and move forward in this world. I'm the elder spokesman of the group, and we put in some work. And I hope you're tuning into the Real Shop Talk because we have some really strong topics there, and it's growing very nicely. And we're getting a nice audience. We over 1,000 on Facebook. We're going to start growing the YouTube the same way, so we
YouTube.
can get it there.
Yep.
And we had some tour dates we're putting together. So come to a city near you.
So let's get into this. And just to repeat, those are just coming in. The topic is stop expecting your partner to read your mind. So I'm gonna start this off by saying, a lot of times we get into relationships and we build these attachments or these connections early on in the relationship. And we kind of think because we've been with someone for a certain amount of time that they should just know us. And you're supposed to know each other and know the moods and what the mood means and the things that they say. You should know what that means. We've been together for a long time. But life doesn't work linearly like that. My moods, what I'm going through every day, it's more like this. It's like up and down, up and down. And because life doesn't just work perfectly like that, you can't assume that I know what you're thinking or that I can assume that I know what you're thinking because things change, things happen. And sometimes people aren't always vocal about everything and they assume you're supposed to know I'm sad today. How am I supposed to know you sad? You didn't say anything. And so I think this happens a lot in relationships, and a lot of times it ends up in these heated arguments, all because you assume that person understood what you were going to say. Rick Gunterman, our other co-host, says the other person isn't you. Yeah. So Tony Watts, my first question to you is, have you ever been in a situation where you assume that person should be able to read your mind? Or have you been in a situation where you were with someone that thought that you were supposed to read their mind and you supposed to just get it? Have you ever been in that personal situation?
Well, I have divorce papers on the table, so therefore I have been there. But therefore I have been there. So real talk, it's this is a great conversation to have because what a lot of people are not understanding or um, kind of miss is that we are all so different, right? And we give out information differently and we receive information differently.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the last 6 months you had a certain mode or a certain mood with yourself, right? Doesn't mean that I can't come home and switch that mode on the seventh month, and now this means something else because we grow, we become
Yeah.
different, right? So that's why you have to have that constant communication with one another to say, hey, I no longer like chocolate ice cream. Imagine you come into a relationship, chocolate ice cream is it's one of the things you guys bonded on. Chocolate ice cream, chocolate ice. We eat chocolate ice cream. And all of a sudden, chocolate ice cream is disgusting to me now. But if I never relate that to my partner's always going to know that I like chocolate ice cream. They're not going to assume that I don't like it because
Right.
when they're there, I'll eat it with them, right? Their assumption is he still likes chocolate ice cream. But if I
Right.
don't communicate, I no longer like chocolate ice cream that way. What is my ice cream cake going to be for my birthday? Chocolate
Right.
ice cream. And I'm going to be mad that you got me a chocolate ice cream because I'm going to turn around and say, well, didn't you see that I didn't eat it as much as I used to?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We have to have that communication to say, I have shipped it to somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what's very, very important. And I think that's what we're missing. We're missing those little caveats. Because when we was on the little clubhouse conversation earlier, but we hopped on this. We came up with that topic, how we don't really want to talk and how we kind of hold things back, and
Yeah.
that's detrimental to both sides of the party. It's
Yeah.
detrimental to both sides.
And I wanted to expound on what Rick said about what Gunter Man said about the other person isn't you. That statement right there is something that plagues a lot of relationships. And this kind of just piggybacks on what we just said, but with a slight different kind of perspective. We are so self-absorbed as humans that we think that if we're in a relationship with that person, that we are one and we're in sync and all of these other. And if I'm mad at something, they should be mad too. If I'm, doing a certain thing a certain way, they're supposed to just automatically know why I'm doing it. And the problem with that is that when you realize that person can't read your mind, then you should hope in a perfect world, right? We don't live there, but in a perfect world, you would say, "Oh, my bad. Let me explain to you why I wanted you to do this way." Instead, we get pissed because that person didn't get it and they supposed to know. And I
hear took it personal.
Yeah, and I hear people sometimes they'll say, "Well, you'll have a man or a woman that'll say, well, can you pick the place that we need to eat tonight?" And then when you don't pick the place that they're thinking about, then they get mad because they'll say something like, "I was just testing you to see if we were in sync at the same time." If you want steak, just say I want steak. What are we doing? Right. And I got another question coming, but Rick says no matter how much or how long you spent time supporting, showing up, or encouraging financially, give and loving the other person will never always see, feel, and think about things just like you. Yeah, we built different, and you're talking about men and women. How much more different can you get? And it's like you. So my question to you is, are there any things that you think, and we're talking about male and female relationships, I know there's all these other things out there, but tonight we're talking about man and woman. What do you think are some of the biggest highlighted things that you think men don't get about women or vice versa? Like, what are some of the things that you think that women expect men to get? Like, what are some of those? What are some of the biggest things you think are out there?
I think both sides of the aisle works on the principle of assumption. They automatically assume, like you said earlier, I assume that he's going to do this. I assume that he knows me well enough to that I want this particular thing. We went by Tiffany's, and I hovered over this particular bracelet so long, but I really didn't point it out and say that's the one I love. So now there's three that you said you liked. I get the one that you like the least. Now your heartbroken. The Tiffany box is there. You all smile. He got the one I want. And no, you don't, because you didn't say these are three I like. I love this one, right? Let's take the assumption out off the table. Let's get rid of the assumption and have the conversations. Tell each other what you like. Going back to, I think we're going to talk about our crew a lot tonight. Tony Massey made the point a couple of episodes ago when he said he actually has a list for his wife of things that she likes. So when those special times come up, when he surprises her with something, it's something that she had on a list that she brought up and said, "Honey, I like that. Honey, I would want this." And he goes out and gets that thing. He already has a list of things he knows she likes because they're communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's the assumption. Men and women assume what we like, right? We don't go in and all right, so we meet. I like the Cowboys. I like I got to watch Monday Night Football. All these sports things are on my list that have to do, right?
Yeah.
The woman then has her list of things she has to do, right? So those are things that are bright in front of our faces. But if one of those things change without communicating it to the other person, then we can't get mad that they don't know.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah.
get mad that they don't know. So I'm gonna just stay on the topic of assumptions. We have to stop assuming what our partner wants, and I mean that across the board, even sexually. We can't assume that we are always doing the exact thing. Okay, we got this move that we do. It always hits it always hits the landing. All of a sudden, it don't hit the landing no more. Body done changed. I need something
Yeah.
different. And if we don't have that
Yeah.
discussion, now I'm doing my famous move. Nothing.
And on the clubhouse that we were on earlier, I was saying that your mate may want to dress up like a reindeer one day. You gotta you gotta know that that's something that they like, but the only way for you to know is for that person that likes to dress up like a reindeer to tell you that. But
Right.
I think that this conversation lends itself to what we all should aspire to in relationships is to be able to have open communication with your partner, to not feel judged by your partner, to really just have that synergy, to know that because again, and this is a slight tangent, but being your partner's friend has more connotation than just saying the word friend.
Right.
Because we have to look at, and this kind of makes sense in this conversation. If you are friends, you think about, if you have a really close friend, you could come to that friend and literally talk about anything. If you say something that's a little off kilter, they're not gonna not be your friend.
Right.
They're gonna stand 10 toes down. They may say, "Hey, I don't like this or I don't like that," but we still friends and we're gonna keep moving forward. When you don't have that in your relationship, you always gonna have contention.
Yep.
I was never the advocate for being friends. I'm like, look, we together. We not eat. Let's go. We together. Where were you? I'm your man, right? Like we.
Yeah.
It
You
wasn't
love
until
me.
later that I realized the value of being able to have a partner who is also someone that you can come to for stuff and talk about stuff. And that lends itself even to this conversation about your partner reading your mind. If both parties were open about how they felt, you wouldn't even have to worry about reading that person's mind. So
Right.
I want you to briefly just touch on, you can call it a piggyback or whatever, but just touch on how important it is to have that open communication, safe space, whatever you want to have it. How important is that against all of these arguments that happen over these little things and these assumptions?
Well, I'll say this. I saw a very interesting TikTok when a young lady was like, "He loves you, but he doesn't like you," and I was like, "That's very interesting." And that's a good dynamic, right? Do you like your partner? You've been together for so long, you love them, like you said, you go to bat for them, you're 10 toes down, but do I like you? Do I like being around you? Do I like spending time with you as much time as I can, even when that time is not intimate time? Do I just like hanging out with you? Can we read a book together? Can we just go outside and walk the street, hold hands together? Like those are the things that you have to strive for to get to the point where you can have open and honest communications. Because if I don't like you because I think you're nagging me all the time, I'm going to avoid you.
Yep.
I'm not going to say certain things to you. I'm going to if I feel that you're not connected to me and this particular thing you don't like, I'm gonna avoid that particular conversation because I'd rather go alone so I can get along. I'm not having that with you because I don't really and it's crazy. I wonder is there I'm gonna look it up too after this is over. Is there a way to figure out love versus like? Is there a test for that? Do I like my partner? Because I think no, I really think no. I know it sounds heck of funny, but I think that's a problem with a lot of relationships. You end up together, right? And most, unfortunately, I'm not gonna say most because I don't have the data, so I'm not gonna say most. A lot of relationships are based off sex, right? And then I do things, we hang out, you call me, you need me, I show up, and we go out, we have fun, we vacation, and we doing all these things. But the arguments are ugly. The disagreements are ugly, but I'm still here for these other things, right? So that's going to divide the bridge of communication as the relationship grows. So I need to figure out how to people
that would
identify.
be an interesting test. That
Right,
would be an interesting.
right.
I don't even know how you even quantify that.
We'll figure it out. But how to identify if you like your partner, right? Because if you like your partner, then that's a whole different ball game. You can go 10 toes down. You can ask those hard and difficult questions. You can have the conversation that you can say, why are you asking me that as my boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, right? Mm-hmm. Why are you asking me that? Because sometimes there are conversations that I should not be having with you. I truly believe if my partner was out and met and somebody moved her, I think she should be comfortable enough to come tell me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how much it hurts my feelings, it either tells me that I need to up my game somewhere.
Yeah.
Or there's something that, in our span of time is missing. Because now I need to fill that gap, right? Or she needs to fill the gap for me where I had my head turned. What happened for all this time? My head wasn't turned before, but suddenly this thing happened and it turned my head. So how do we fill that gap so my head is not turning anymore?
Yeah.
So, but if I like you, we're having those real conversations. So I'm really curious. Is there a way to have people be honest and go, I love my wife, I love my man, but I don't like him.
Yeah. I'm gonna read a couple of these comments. I'm going to start from the bottom because it's another one that I want to come back to. But Kalisha says, people change every day. Say what you may like or may have may change. Are you in a relationship where you are willing and ready to adapt in ways that won't make you lose who you are?
Right.
So, yeah, that's the thing, right? Like if you're going through argument after argument. And a lot of times these arguments be on, like you said, assumptions, and this is what I think they meant by this action. And you don't realize that when here's another thing. When you make an assumption and it's not the correct one, now you are building some negative energy that didn't have to be there because when people make assumptions like big ones, 9 times out of 10, they don't even trust that person is going to be, they don't think that they can have that communication. And so they have to make assumptions. And then the person on the other end has to assume on the other side why you even felt that. Where did you get that information from? And so it's all of this mind reading and trying to figure out that goes both ways. From the man, the woman, and vice versa, and the honesty and the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and you'll never get there because you're so pissed off. Let me read Rick's comment real quick, and then I have another area that I want to tap into. Rick says having a friendship first allows the relationship to grow from a place of you both being your true selves. That's the key right there. Be yourself. That also lends itself to what Kalisha said. Don't lose who you are.
Right.
It's so freeing and empowering to be able to be your regular crazy weirdo self, and that person now knows what they're getting, and if they still riding with you, you can now live your life in freedom.
But let's take that a step further though, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I'm a reader, right? What if I done read a couple of books over the last 6 months and it kind of changes my personality? It changes me a little bit, right? I should be free enough to change,
Yeah,
not to turn like, oh, if I become this person, that person's not gonna love me anymore.
yeah. I always talk
So
about core values, right? The
right,
core characteristics of you, the core values of you. Normally, the core doesn't normally change. It's all the other
right,
stuff on top of that that you should have the freedom to. Because let's say you with somebody for 15 years, you you expect that person not to have varied interests, change over time, grow a
right,
little bit in a certain the core values of you. Hopefully, don't change those because
right,
they've been
right,
with you for
right,
your life. That's the thing that you cling on to. You know, this guy's a good father. He's looking out for me. He's taking care of the home. He's doing all of these things. I know he's never going to waver from that. But this dude used to read books on Einstein, and now he's reading Batman comics.
right.
You you're not, hopefully won't leave a person or have a big argument because of something as trivial as that. The other lane that I wanted to go in, and I didn't finish all of Rick's. He said, and as a friend, you should be cool with them not agreeing with what you did or didn't do,
Absolutely.
or something you like or dislike. It we've all been in these, most of us have been in these situations where assumptions have been made, somebody expected you. A lot of times, this lends itself into my other question that Erica said. She said that, did it scroll up? Men expect us to be more logical, and we expect y'all to be more emotionally driven.
That's an assumption.
So let's say that that's true. Let's pretend that that's true.
Yeah.
As I always affectionately say, let's say we're in play land. Let's say
Okay.
that that's true. If it's true that a woman needs her man to be more emotionally driven, but that's not how he's programmed to be, he's more logic based. How does that relationship work? Or does it not work? There has to be some kind of compromise in the middle, right? Because a woman that wants a man to be, it's not like, here's the thing. You don't just want your man to be emotional. You want him to
Right.
be as emotional as you are.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It will never happen. So
So
yeah, go ahead.
to the emotional thing, again, that's a I think we're gonna stay on communication. It
Uh,
has to be it has to you have to communicate to a logical person what emotions you're trying to have them do. I'd like you to hug me more. I like you talk with a lot of bass in your voice. I'd like you to bring your voice down a little, your voice down a little bit when you speak to me. Sometimes that's intimidating. Those things can be talked through for a
right.
person to understand how they need to work on what they need. You can't just assume and go, hey girl, he came home again talking all rough and loud. The dude works in a factory with loud things all day long. He's got earplugs in his ears and he speaks loud because that's the only way you can communicate on that particular floor, right? So now when he comes home, you want him to automatically cut it off and now bring his voice down to a lower level. Like you have to have that conversation to say, these are the things that I'm feeling, these are the things that I'm seeing, these are the things that we can work on. And then you have, those buzzwords. Hey, babe, you are talking a little loud right now. And then he has to go, yeah, you're right, and adjust to that. Or, baby, you're being a little pain in the butt right now. You're kind of nagging me a little too much. You know what I mean? Ladies don't get mad. I'm just using the nagging word as an example. We just use an example. But we all have to adjust to make our partners feel comfortable in those spaces. I don't think it should be so difficult if you tell me, right, this is what you need and this is what you want, for me to try to give it to you, unless it's something that's impossible, right?
Yeah.
Other than something physically that needs to be done, there shouldn't be, or that goes totally left to your core values. If I'm a Christian and you worship the devil, like, sorry, babe, I can't go with you to the seance tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we have, those are things, those are core value things, like you said before. We don't deviate from. But we have to, again, this thing is communication. Of course, it has to be communication. You can't assume, or you can't put labels or stigmas on people. He's not emotional enough. Well, what if his whole growing up was never emotional? There was no emotion based in it. How do you be emotional for what does that even look like for a person who grew up in a house that is regimented? There was no emotions. Nobody said I love you. Nobody hugged. What does that even look like for them?
Yeah,
But real quick,
wait, I'm
before
sorry.
you do that, real quick
Uh-huh.
before you do that, and the way you do that is you show up the way you want to be treated. So if you want to be hugged, you hug him, and if he shies off with the hug, no, baby, this is the way I show I love you, and then they'll get it.
Yeah,
They might
because
not get it the same day, but then they'll get it. Yeah,
the assumption is if that person didn't take the hug, maybe they don't like me.
right.
Maybe they're not
Not that.
attracted to me.
Right.
Yeah, and so and Rick said kind of similarly. He said that men can be just as emotional as women. Exactly. Culture looks down on men being that way. But here's the
Right.
thing, right? In a lot of these situations, and I'm just going to use women just for illustrative purposes. It's not like, and our crew, we talk about this all the time, men and emotions and all of that. We have just as many emotions, but a lot of times, and I'm just using this for illustration, ladies, the woman will want you to not be just they want you to be emotional the same way that they are. It needs to
Right.
look the same way that the way
Right.
that they do it. And the way that we show our emotions looks different. And to the point of the minority mental health, right? Mental health, right? The assumptions that are made when people are going through things, stress, anxiety, depression, the assumptions that are made because it's really about not just reading minds, but paying attention to behavior patterns and things
Right.
like that. A lot of times you can tell when somebody that you love and that you live with is going through something.
Yeah.
And
But
a
that's a
lot of times,
selfless act, though. That is a
yeah,
selfless act. You
yeah,
have to be in a position to want to do that, and that comes from a lot of our core word tonight: communication.
communication. Yeah,
Communication. You want to probe the how did you grow up? How was you and your dad's relationship? How was you and your mom's relationship? How did you feel with your siblings? Did you feel you was the one that was loved or not loved? These are conversations that have to be had. So when there's a distance felt, you don't take it personal. This
yep,
person has always operated in a space where when the family got together, they went upstairs and watched TV.
yep,
It's
yep,
not that they didn't love their family; they just felt more comfortable upstairs and not be around the noise.
yep,
And you
yep,
have to deal with that. And you have to slowly bring them into your environment. And they'll say to themselves, I'm talking about me personally, because that's how I used to be. I used to be like, because my wife has a big family, right? They used to have, and they're all partiers, loud, having fun, and all this stuff. I used to be like, nah, I don't want to hear all this noise. And I would disconnect. But I realized if you go into that environment and absorb it for what it is, there's a lot of love, laughter, and joy there. But it took a minute. You know what I mean? And you have to be able to not browbeat somebody to be a part of it. You have to let them see why they should be a part of it. You have to coax them and bring them in. And I think that's where we kind of lose in relationships, but
yeah,
by not communicating things the right way.
yeah. I think a lot of times we're so self-absorbed in how we feel emotionally that we don't even ask the why.
Never.
Right? There's always a
Nope.
why. You may not get the answer the way you want it. You may not even get it that moment that you want it.
Right.
Trying to figure out the why. And sometimes you don't ask the why while you're in that moment. You got to wait until things kind of simmer
Calm
down a
down.
little
Right.
bit. Figuring out the why of why somebody needs to sit down when they come through the front door instead of springing into action and going and cutting the grass. And you
Right.
like, well, what the hell? They not cutting the grass because they don't give a damn about the house. Nah, I need a minute. My
Right.
boss was riding me
Right.
today. I need just give me some time. But
Would you
if
say you said something really powerful earlier today too? Is when we go into these assumptions and these models, these realities we build in our heads that have nothing to do with the other person. We made this whole reality that they don't like us, that he doesn't want to really cut the grass, he's lazy. Why is he coming home and just automatically sitting down and playing with the kids or going upstairs and doing something else? He walks past the grass every day. He sees it needs to be cut. Why is he cutting it? Like you're now making creating a reality that has nothing to do with what this other person is doing. And you hit it on the head. It goes back to communication. We have to talk about those.
And on the contrary, right? You take that same guy that has a bad day, he should also be proactive enough to come in the house and say, hey, baby, I know I'm supposed to mow the lawn, but I need about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So that she doesn't make those assumptions unnecessarily, and then it turns into a thing. Because without those things being ironed out, the assumptions are flying on both ends.
Yep.
You're gonna get pissed off as the woman in this particular scenario. I'm saying this like this on purpose. In this particular scenario, the woman is pissed because he's not springing into action. He knows it's supposed to be done. He just said he gonna save it for tomorrow. Now you see red.
Right.
The why don't even matter anymore.
Why don't even matter.
Now that energy is gonna make him defensive. When he gets defensive, he don't even want to hear nothing you got to say. And when you try to pull anything out of him, you're not going to get that either. So now you had a stalemate in your own home.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and pull another layer on the onion. When you get to that point, when you multiply that out over time, I'm going to show you a gentleman in this scenario, the gentleman who doesn't like being at home.
Yep. You sit in the car longer, taking longer rides to get home. Come on, man. Don't tell my life out loud like that.
We need to, and it took me a long time to figure it out, over time, how the dynamics of this thing should work. But when you are in a situation where you are saying every day that you love this person and this is my person, we're not gonna all do things the right way. We're not gonna always, but you have to look at who you are to each other and try to handle it with care. If you don't, it's not going to be peachy all the time, but that care has to kick in, or else you start to become enemy combatants. So now we talk about reading minds. He's supposed to know I'm mad. He's supposed to, what? I just got back from home. You have to really think about, and in a relationship, a lot of times you got to step outside yourself.
Yep.
I know it's hard for some of y'all. Yep. Sometimes you got to step outside yourself and say, maybe there's a why behind this behavior.
And go figure that out. You must go have the hard conversation. They must be had. And if you can't have the hard conversation, then you need to get a professional involved so they could bridge the gap of what you guys are missing. Because a lot of people are breaking up based on, what's funny is people will break up and then later on find out what they broke up for was so minute that why did we break up in the first place? You broke up because you could never communicate with each other. And you piled all these other things on top of this small, minute thing that just kept festering and festering and festering.
And that's why, when we experience these things in life, and I think it lends itself to a lot of why a lot of us have even become coaches, is because who wants to go through that if they were able to get some tools to help them before it happened?
Right.
And that's why we always talk about therapy. We always talk about coaching, because whatever you've been doing that's wrong, you may not have the answer.
Nope.
And do you want to keep doing that? Like people be 45, 55. They done been through hell and mud and fire and brimstone. And they like, you know what? I'm going to get it one day. Nah.
And they try to get it. They try to get it from themselves.
Yeah. What new information has come in?
Right.
Let me dope discussions with Erica says, yes, that's the assumption. It's the same is that some women think their man should express himself the way she does without taking into consideration that he will express himself differently,
Right.
and vice versa.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We both, sometimes men, men and women, we make different types of assumptions, but we make, like, she's supposed to know I'm tired. She's supposed to know I had a long day at work. Why she tripping? Why she nagging me? But the why of why she's nagging me is you haven't taken the trash out in 2 days. She may not know that you might be depressed. She may not know that you're going through some things. And so now, with that misinformation in the middle, now we fighting for real.
Yep.
And when you fight like that, it hurts. When it hurts, you don't forget. That's a trauma to your body. You're not going to forget that. But you're not going to deal. A lot of people don't deal with it. They sweep it under the rug and say, we all right, and you go about your schedule. But the trauma, that little bit of trauma that you got, it might be minute. But what if you have 500 of them? Now what does it look like?
Listen, man. And I just thought of this as well. What if you're working and your boss is coming at you? The job is changing. There's shifting going on at the job. So you've got all of this stuff on your mind, but you've never come home and expressed that to your partner. You didn't tell your partner that the job is changing. You didn't tell the partner that people are getting laid off and they're bringing new people in. They're looking to go in a different direction. And you don't know where you stand at. And if you're the breadwinner, what does that look like? You know what I mean? Now you're afraid to have the conversation.
It's tough.
I might not be able to support anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So we again, the big C word, if we're not communicating all these things across the board, we can't assume that our partners are reading our minds. Oh, we used to talk, we used to have movie night on Tuesdays. We didn't have movie night in 3 weeks. So he must be seeing somebody else because he's staying at work late. No, he's staying at work late because he's trying to save his job. But then again, like you said, that goes for both people to say, hey, I'm staying late because these changes are happening. And we can't we got to change date night right now because I'm trying to do this, that, and the other. So if we're not having those things, that those reading the minds assumptions come in. And what I would keep on bringing back is when you begin creating your own reality that I'm not privy to, the house of cards starts to begin to form.
Yeah. I'm gonna go down some of these comments. Rick says, Gunter Man says, it's just the story we're telling ourselves. It's not the truth. Love Tucker says, I call it dust, the things that accumulate that you don't notice. If you don't consistently clean, it builds up.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's a strong one right there. That's it right there. Cobwebs in place. You be like, hey, where the cobwebs be here?
Yeah, it happens more often than not.
Yep.
Unfortunately. Yep. And that's why I think you and a lot of other people that's on here and a lot of people just in the planet, like, there's a crisis here. Like people don't know how to communicate with each other. People don't know how to respect each other and be able to have communication without hurting each other. But what if you talked about these things before the occurrence happened and you knew how to address it when it got there? How would the trajectory of your relationship change? Like
completely different.
That's it. It's to have the tools before the thing happens, not try to figure them out while you pissed off and you want 200,000 red and now nothing's getting through when you get that tall. And what normally happens is you go, tomorrow happens. Oh, hey baby, I love you. I'm about to go to the store and get some groceries. Go ahead, you had a point. And then Erica has a question, but go ahead if you had something to say.
It slipped out of my mind, so when it comes back, I'll say it then. Let's take Eric's question.
So I'll shoot this question to you first. She says, "Do you guys believe that you can get to a point where you overshare in a relationship?"
No such thing. There's no such thing. How am I overly sharing? There should be no such thing. You are my life partner. How am I overly sharing? Like how does when you undershare, like when you don't give everything that you have, you create void pockets for information to be assumed into those pockets. So if you don't if you have to overly communicate something to get the point across, then do that. Or if she's talking about, like, we're having a conversation about something and she gets it, and she can turn around and explain to him, well, this is what I hear you're saying, and he goes, yeah, that's it. Then we don't have to go. We don't have to beat that dead horse anymore because now we both understand we're at an equal point. But if I need to give you as much information as possible, I don't think there's a such thing as overly communicating.
Yeah, I agree. And Rick said he was answering to Sure because she said she swear that she does overshare. And Rick says you're right in a way because timing may be off to say certain things. So that's true too. Like sometimes you want to get it off, but they might have been sitting at the desk, working at the computer. It may not be time, but I would never be an advocate for not getting it off. Like you may have to choose when you deliver it, but you imagine your life holding that like you holding it in. That means you
got to. But again, if you're not scheduling time to have that conversation, then you're hurting both sides of the party. Like I have something to get off my chest, but you're caught in this work mode, right? And we can never have this conversation because you're working on projects in the last 6 months. So I got to wait to the 7th month to have the conversation. No, this is something that we need to stop today, tomorrow, or we just say on Saturday between this time and this time, I need to talk about this. And that's what we go do. You can't. The problem is when you can continue to blow somebody off of what their situation is, you create resentment. And once you start creating that resentment, oh, she don't want to listen to me anyway. Oh, he don't want to listen to me anyway. Oh, he never listens. Or she never listens. All of these things come up when they really are in their lives. And that's not why they're not hearing you. They're not hearing you because they don't want to listen. They're not hearing you because they got something going on that's very important. So and I think the thing I was going to say before is we have to be. This is exactly the point. We have to be willing to be upset about something, but not carry it past that conversation. I can be mad. You can be mad. We can even, like people say, you shouldn't go to bed mad. I get that. But maybe it takes me 24 hours to get over something. But you have to be able to have those tough conversations, right? Leave and say, well, I don't agree with you. You don't agree with me, but we're going to agree to disagree, kiss on the forehead, and go about our business. And leave it there. You got to leave it there. You can't carry it and bring it somewhere else. You got to leave it there.
So I'm going to frame this next one as a question. Kalisha says, if you share something that your partner can't handle, then there are deeper issues. So my question to you is,
wow,
if you are married to someone, is there ever something that you should hold back because your partner can't handle it? Is there such a thing? Something that your partner can't handle?
How do you know if they can't handle it if you don't give it to them lovingly? Maybe it's your delivery.
Yeah.
Listen, if you guys are on the same page, and we go back to the word of tonight, communication. If you're communicating with each other lovingly, not browbeating somebody, but lovingly, you should be able to present an argument that might hurt their feelings. But what they're going to understand is you didn't do this from a place of malice. That's the difference. If I'm doing it from a place of love, then if somebody comes to me and say, well, Tone, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 and it hurts my feelings, and I know they love me, I'm not going to hold it against them. We're going to have to work through those nuances and either agree to disagree or to come to some type of agreement. And I'll have to figure it out later, or she'll have to figure it out later, and comes like, okay, this is what they were saying. I can respect that. And I'm going to cherish to respect that and not disrespect them and not do this particular thing, or because I know it's coming from a place of love. And I think that's the problem. I think, like you said before, once we begin to create those personal realities and assumptions, now you're hurting me. You're doing it against me. Yeah. And once we're in love with somebody, or we come from a place of love, there's no I'm trying to hurt you because we're trying to grow together.
Yeah, and Gunter Man basically is adding on to what you said. He said, love is love is making the decision to pay close enough attention to your partner so you can figure out how to share your thoughts, feelings, likes, dislikes, and concerns in a way they can hear it.
Yep.
So my
And real quick, Doug, it
uh-huh.
might take 2, 3, 4, 5 discussions for them to get it.
Yeah. Because there's people out here that are in relationships, and there may be some people watching right now. There's people in relationships that have accepted the fact that their partner will never receive anything ever, and they're like, "Well, that's just how they are." So I'm gonna just go ahead
And you said it best in the clubhouse conversation. Now you've created this self-defeating prophecy when all you had to do is shift the way you deliver the message that so they can get it.
and a
Or
lot of
you bring in a third party that can
yeah, there you
deliver
go.
the message for them.
That's where I was
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
Sometimes when you feel yourself saying, "Oh, that's just the way they are. They don't get me. They're not going to receive anything." Notice the words I'm using. They're not receiving
right.
anything that I say the way that I want for them to. In these type of conversations normally happen with people that's been together for years.
Yeah,
It's time to bring in a third party. It's time to bring in somebody that doesn't have a dog in that fight, so that the person who doesn't get it gets to hear it from a different voice than yours. Because a lot of times over time, if a person doesn't want to hear your voice, they're gonna this is the same thing that kids do. They will drown it out from you, the mom, but when the dad come in and be like, do that, it's a different
right.
tone, it's a different perspective. The dad hadn't been there all day, but you and the kid and the mom been going at it, and the kid is like, I don't. Sometimes you gotta get somebody to come in and say, look, my man, she's trying to get through to you. Do you love her?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
This is what she's trying to say. Let
Right,
me say it
right.
to you in a different way, man to man.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
what's going on. And
yeah.
then a lot of times that man will say, "Oh my God, I didn't know that."
I missed it.
And
And
you've
it's
been
okay
saying
to
it to him
miss.
for years.
Right.
And it's like, I didn't know. Once
And
they
it's
get
okay.
to that I didn't know moment, your whole thing change. The whole thing changes.
Whole thing shifts. Whole thing shifts. And let's put a pin in it with this one is that you can't have resentment and animosity be like, I've been telling you this for years. No, they got it. Celebrate the fact that they got it. They might have to go a different route to receive it, but celebrate the fact that they got it and leave that be, because now when you start going, you know, resentfully, I've been telling you this for years, you don't listen to me. Maybe your delivery didn't allow me to listen to you. So, but once the person gets it and we are able to verbalize it back to you exactly the way you said it, then let's leave it there. Let's leave it there and grow and move on. Because if you keep holding on to, well, I got to, every time I talk to them, I got to bring somebody else in. No, because now the person that has really accepted that they didn't get it, but now they do, is going to listen with different ears.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
going to be like, well, she said this 4 times already. And the last time that happened, we didn't get it. So let me go back to her and try to figure out what am I missing? What's the piece that I'm missing? Because this is how I feel what you're saying. What are you actually saying? And then rock out from there. Absolutely.
And when you get into these situations where you have a third party, that's when you start to develop the tools, the rules of engagement. How are we going to
Right.
deal with each other when things get heated? Now we have some tools to bring in. So now you
Right.
have in this situation a man who's heard things differently. Light bulb goes off. Now you can say, okay, now that you're there, the next time we get to this situation, how are we going to handle this? Because it's going to happen. We've been together this long. There's going to be some contention. How do we get through that without hurting each other?
Right.
These are the things that you need to have in the pocket, because all of the honeymoon phase and all it's cute. Y'all gonna argue one day. It's gonna happen. Y'all gonna disagree. It's gonna happen. Hey, baby, I know one day this gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen because we're human beings. We're not the identical person. How are you when you argue with people in the past? Like we need to figure out how we're not gonna hurt each other. I don't know how to do that. Maybe we need to ask somebody. Let me see if my friend Coach Tony, we need to maybe sit with him and see what he thinks we should do based on who we are, because that day is coming.
And what Coach Tony's going to tell him is it's okay to hurt. It's okay. Because you fall down on the bike, what happens? You hurt yourself, right?
Yeah.
What do? You get back on the bike.
Yeah.
As a child growing up, you try to, before you could run, you had to crawl, you had to walk. There's times you fell hard, but you had to get up and do it again anyway.
Yeah.
And we have to go back to realize the person who loves you is not doing it purposefully. They're not. Their mindset is like, let me go out and see how I can hurt Derek today. Everything I do is going to hurt Derek. Derek likes his shoes on the left side of the bed, underneath to the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move him to my side of the bed. So he has every morning. I'm going to do that to him, knowing that he likes something else. That's malicious. That's a total different conversation. That's a total different conversation. But if you're doing something lovingly and I hurt you or you hurt me, I should be able to take that in and go, well, they're not trying. They didn't do that on purpose. It wasn't a purpose for hurt. This is their reality right now. This is my reality right now, and I have to work through that, and we have to work this together to get to a common ground so we can move forward.
Yep. Erica also says, that's true. Some people get resentful because they feel like their partner should have received a message directly from them, and that's counterproductive. Yeah.
Right.
And she also says
Absolutely.
we are going to hurt each other unintentionally. We can't avoid it.
Can't avoid it. Unavoidable.
Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen.
Unavoidable.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens.
And it's not going to just happen one time. And that's why you have to have that foundation of everything that your relationship is built on. We talked about friendship earlier. All of these things matter when you're in the trenches. You need to lean on those things. If you don't have that, when these things happen, it's not even built. Y'all are just existing. That's why I always talk about on this show. You're existing in a relationship, time spent. We've been here for so many years and there's no growth. You can't grow if you don't have anything to stand on.
That's right.
You have to have something to stand on so that when you fall, there's something there. If nothing's there, it doesn't work. Now you're going to be scrapping and fighting and doing all kind of craziness inside your household. Guess what happens? This is what I talked about on a prior show called, the one that I talked about, living in a haunted house.
Woo!
All of that stuff, that trauma, those fights, they live in that house.
I told you I hated you after that episode.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you,
because you were so on point. If you guys haven't seen that episode, to go back and check it out. He was so on point. He hit every point in that episode. I sit there like, oh, I hate you.
Yeah, it when you paint that picture that way, and we're gonna wrap this up in a second, but when you make these assumptions, when you expect your partner to read your mind and all of these things, and then these arguments happen because of it, and this resentment happens because of it, all of that turmoil lives in that house with you.
That's right.
So who wants to enter into a front door of a house where all of that stuff lives? And it's only going to live there because you don't resolve it.
Right.
And that is detrimental to your relationship growing because you're going to keep creating more and more ghosts.
That's right.
And it's
and that residue starts growing in the corners of the house.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. I literally just talked to, and me and my wife had this conversation when we celebrated our anniversary and we got away, and how freeing it felt to get away. When you live somewhere where you're stressing over, your business or your job or and you're doing it in that house, even if you're in the house alone, you probably still can't focus.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to resolve it by giving it some air. Maybe you and your wife need to have this conversation, at a restaurant versus in that living room where y'all had all of the, you have to be able to kind of maneuver that way if you want things to kind of work and go and grow.
Right.
Rick Gunterman says, And remember, even with them getting it now, they still should be some grace for them to learn it and to
That's right.
recall it, to
That's
respond
right. That's
or
right.
action from that place of understanding. Yeah,
That's right.
is that
On
word
point.
grace.
Yeah, grace.
If you truly love that person, that should not be hard for you to do.
That should not be hard for you to do. Grace should not be hard for you to do.
Gunterman also says walking is catching yourself before you fall, so there will be times when you will fall. Yeah. Erica says, how can couples get better at receipt? Oh, here's a question. Then after this question, we're gonna wrap it up. How can couples get better at receiving unpleasant information from each other without taking it as an insult?
Like I said earlier, if that person truly loves you, don't take it personal. It can hurt. Like when it's delivered, it's gonna hurt because it's and say if you need to, hey babe, that hurt my feelings. If they love you, like listen, I'm not. That's not my intention, but this is how I feel.
Yeah, I believe
we have
that
we have to get to a point where we're okay with being uncomfortable in conversation.
Yeah, this is what I believe. I believe that a person that's in a relationship or marriage long term, if you take any kind of information, unpleasant or not, as an insult from the person that you love the most, 9 times out of 10, there's some other stuff that happened before that made you take it that way.
Right, and then you haven't worked it out yet.
I need for y'all to hear this.
Yes, right.
Because
say it again.
You should be able to tell your wife her breath stink. You should be able to tell her underarm stink. You should be able to do all of that without her being like, "Oh, what the hell?"
Hold on,
you know where it's coming from.
You should be able to tell her, "Not that dress, babe."
Yes.
Not that dress, babe.
You should be able to do that without
not
any
that dress, babe. Right.
You should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we can't take information from a person that we already resent. I need for y'all to catch that. If you already have some past stains somewhere in your relationship and they come to you with some information that may be unpleasant, you're going to be like, I wonder why he's telling me that. What's wrong? Why is he doing? Why would you say that to me? That ain't because of today. It's something else. It's something else that led you to feel like I am coming to you with this news to hurt you purposely.
That's right.
This the only reason you would see me like that, my loving wife, is because maybe I did something in the past. Maybe we had something in the past, and now you're like, I don't even really trust where this is coming from.
And that goes back to the topic of the conversation. You assume that he could read your mind and figure out whatever he did wrong or she did wrong. Yeah. And you carried that resentment for you for so long.
Yeah.
To land the plane, seriously, stop assuming, right, that your resentment is known by the other person.
Oh my God, I've never heard that say like that before. That's good.
You know?
That's good. And that's a whole nother read your mind. That's the umbrella over a lot of
umbrella, right.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Because a lot of us carry resentment and we assume that person knows that we resent them. That's huge. Let me get through these last few comments and then I'm going to land my plane and we're going to get out of here. Love Tucker says, even when one expresses unpleasantness, it helps to tell the other person why it's important for you to address this. That's that communication thing.
Yeah.
And your goal for bringing this up. Because again, the reason why you should do what Love Tucker just said is so that person understands the why that you're delivering the information. You just don't go in and just give it to them. You have to let them know, especially if you know it's unpleasant. You already know it's unpleasant. Baby, I'm about to tell you something. I just want you to understand this is why I'm telling you, because this needs to be said. And you got to do that instead of just going in and then assuming that person's going to receive something unpleasant in a nice way.
Every successful organization, business, relationship has a cause and effect, right? But they also have a solution.
Yeah.
We can't just argue back and forth without here's the solution to the problem.
Yep.
And not agree on what the solution is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is very important. We have to agree on what the solution is so we can get back to the vision and keep it moving.
There it is. There it is. I got a couple more comments and then we getting out of here, guys. Dope discussions with Erica says there's resentment already there. Yep. Gunter Man says we oftentimes forget that we should not take things so personally,
right?
And not take he corrected himself, and not take everything so personally. Fiel says yep, and Dope discussion with Erica podcast says resentment is cancerous to the growth of any relationship.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I hate to say it, but most people that are in long-term relationships without effective communication has some sitting there chilling with mold on it. It's been there for a long time and it's chilling and festering and it's building like Lego blocks.
That's right.
And it's and when that person comes and tries to say something nice to you, you can be like, whatever. I don't want to hear it. Sorry. I'm not. And you never, because once that stack of resentment gets so tall, that's a lot to clean. So why even do it?
And right? You said it so perfectly. You're reading my mind now. When you have mildew and residue on something that you left in the basement in the corner, right? When you go get that thing, what do you end up doing with that thing? You end up throwing it away.
Yeah.
Because it's useless now.
Yeah.
It's absolutely useless. Like the pages have melted together, the words on the paper have just completely disappeared. And now you had something that was so gorgeous and so beautiful. Now it's marred and scarred up because you haven't taken care of it. And the communication piece is how you take care of it. So important.
Yeah. And the last point I want to make too, Erica says resentment won't even let you accept a compliment from your partner. That's the point I was going. She reading my mind now.
Woo.
Here's the thing. A lot of people go through their life and their schedules and not even realize that it's there.
Compliment or help. Compliment or help.
Yeah.
You won't receive compliment or help.
Yeah. The resentment is there. You've forgotten it's there until that thing triggers you. And then and then you like, wait, I just reacted to something that was real trivial.
Right.
It comes from a place. And then your partner's like, hold on, player. where did that come from? You acting different. Just like a little kid. No, I'm not. Right? Yep. No, I'm not. Yep. I'm the same. Yep. I'm the same person. At that point, you got to trust that your partner is seeing something different.
Right.
And then you got to figure out the why.
The why.
Because it's affecting, all of this stuff affects your home. Yeah. All of this stuff affects everything it's going to affect your kids.
Everything gets affected.
Everything gets affected.
Everything.
And God forbid your kids have to hear and deal with all of this resentment and stuff going back and forth because they're going to absorb that and it's going to become a part of who they are. Yeah.
And they build relationships off your BS.
There it is. And I'm going to close this. Gunter Man says stacking. Yep. I always talk about the stacking. I've been talking about this for 2 years straight. And people need to realize that if you don't resolve it, it stacks over time and you don't even want to see no parts of that person. You be like, man, whatever. They be like, why don't you look at this nightgown I got on? You be like, it's all right. Go ahead and do it. I'm tired, man.
Your favorite color, your favorite designs, everything. Nope. I don't care.
That's what there's another these points coming in my head. It's a slight tangent. People need to realize this. When you have resentment, when you have animosity, when you have all of these arguments and the stacking and all of this, and then you say, I wonder why it feels like they're not attracted to me no more. They can't even see you that way. All they see is the person that yelled at them about taking the trash out. And they like, man, I'm good. I'm about to go
nothing's your fault.
Like, and on both sides, right? Because I can't say women are sitting back taking it either. But especially now. But this is what happens. Because you sitting on it. How dare you get into a relationship? And we've all done it.
How dare you
get into a relationship where we scared at the reaction of what that person is going to do if we be honest, tell them how we feel about something.
Then we gotta go get a Kevin Samuels to help us out.
We gonna land the plane right there, sir. We landed the plane right there. So let's talk. Let's spend a couple minutes talking about shop talk and some of the things we have coming up, and then I want you to talk about anything you want to talk. As far as Triumphant, and then we're gonna get out of here. Real shop talk every Monday.
Yes,
at
yes,
8
yes.
p.m. We got some heat coming, y'all. For at least the next couple of weeks. We got some heat. We got some folks in the comments right now that's going to be a part of these shows. Dope discussions with Erica, Love Tucker. Like we got some heat coming your way because we're August. We got some ladies coming on, guys. We're starting to bring in
ladies
some
night.
We got ladies night. The second Monday we have ladies night. We have this Monday coming up. We have Dope Discussions with Erica podcast and her co-host Gator and another guest, Queen Cole. They're coming on and we're talking about rape culture, right? These are things that we need to talk about, but people really don't spend time. We're talking about rape culture. The next week after that, we're gonna have ladies' night. We're gonna have, a couple of our brothers. They booked and busy. But we got 3 gentlemen out of the 5, and we're going to bring in 3 ladies, and we're going to have a show about the gender wars. How the hell did we get there?
How
do
we
fighting each other? What the problem is? Right?
That's
We're going to get that in. And we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to learn some things. We're going to figure this out. And we didn't want to talk about things surrounding the ladies without having the ladies present. So we got some things. Y'all go see the flyers. Make sure you go to realshoptalk.net. Check it out. All the newest stuff is there. All the old and new stuff is we got an archive of stuff. Now we on what we just show we just did
8?
what show 7, 8?
This is show 8 going up.
And it's just growing and growing. So make sure you guys go to realshoptalk.net. There's a big old icon that has YouTube on it. Click that.
Please click the YouTube.
We're trying to grow our YouTube channel, guys.
Yep.
So make sure you go there and click the YouTube, go to that page, click subscribe, and click the bell so you can get the notifications. We need your guys' support there. We're trying to grow that page, and we're doing some big thing. Every week is better than the last. Like we just keeping it moving. The synergy, the energy, our battery is on here right now. Gunter Man.
Yes.
That's our that dude. I mean, Tony Massey was in here earlier, John Singletary. Like everybody brings something different to the table and it works.
Right.
Works well. Anything you want to add about Real Shop Talk before we get out of here?
Just that, the YouTube channel, we want to really concentrate on getting that descriptions up there. We're at 90 right now, 91, I think. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you jump over there and subscribe. The 100th person, we might have something for you. So, like we did with the person who hit 1,000, we all jumped on and congratulated them for being the 1,000th person on the Facebook page. But we're going to do some things out here. It's very important that you guys, for this channel, for all channels, like, share, because it shifts the algorithm for Facebook and for YouTube to let them know this is the type of content that you want to see. And so we can start shifting the ground a little bit. Relationships, people want them. People want real relationships. And when we talked about in the, and I guess we're going to have to bring this conversation to Shop Talk, is polygamy, is to really have this conversation of a tail end of that is some people are opting out for these relationships because they can't find something or they're too afraid to go have a relationship. So they're saying, I'd rather be with someone else, a half a man or half a woman, so that I can be around somebody. So we're going to dive into that as well. So we can just even this whole play field out. Men, I say it all the time, men basically want the same things women want. We want somebody that's going to be there for us. We want somebody to love on us, but somebody that has our back between all things. At the end of the day, she chooses me. At the end of the day, I choose her, regardless of what's going on. That's what everybody's looking for. So we appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you on next Monday. with Erica. And if you haven't seen the show that we did with Erica last on Sunday, please go to her channel and check it out. It was a very dope conversation. Her and Gator.
Literally dope conversation, right? Dope discussion.
Yeah, literally dope discussion. Literally, yes, it was beautiful. Her and Gator gave us some space to get out there and do our thing, and it was a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
It was one of the best ones we had so far.
A couple of the ladies said they're gonna unsubscribe and resubscribe at 100 so they can get the prize.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way. We see who's there already. We know you.
So, anything you want to talk about outside of Real Shop Talk? Are you good?
No, I'm good right now. Can't we talk today? We are rebranding Triumphant. Changed it to Triumphant Media Group. So there's some things happening. We got merch and everything happening. We got the other merch that's about to drop off everybody's for Real Shop Talk. When you see that merch, you guys will lose your mind. So we got some things coming. So
yep. And as usual, guys, you can go to relationshipgumbo.info to get everything and follow me and Real Shop Talk. Everything's kind of merged together, so you can get all the information from there. The website is there for Real Shop Talk on that site too. So just keep coming back. Come back here every Wednesday. Come to Real Shop Talk every Monday, and we're gonna keep banging it out. We're gonna have some amazing guests. I still got a couple gentlemen from Real Shop Talk that need to come here. So y'all gonna be on the lookout for them. And
Gunnerman tomorrow. He's doing his show.
Oh yeah. Gunnerman show tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Instagram. Go to hold on. Soapbox Stand Up and Speak.
Right.
on Instagram. And he's going to be interviewing another friend to the show, Bernadette. She has their platform about fatherless daughters. She was on this show not that long ago, so that should be amazing.
Amazing conversation.
Make sure you check him out on Instagram. Tony Massey got his cooking show coming up next month. So
August 5th.
We got some things going. Just connect with us and
and self plug. I'm on John's show, Help Thyself podcast.
Yep.
I'm on that. On that. I'm the latest interview there. So go check that out. I kind of let it all go. If you want to know some things about me, it's there.
Cool. We gonna share all of that stuff. I'm gonna share everybody's stuff too. Again, if I didn't do it already, because we want you guys to see not us just being together, but us supporting each other and building, as Tony Watts always says, it's about the community. Right. We help each other. We show you that we can rock together, and then hopefully it'll encourage people to do the same. We can do this thing together.
That's right.
Way better than we can individually. And I think the gentlemen on Shop Talk are really seeing the fruits of that now. Like, look at what we're doing right now. This is my show, but I'm talking about Tony Massey's show. I'm talking about all these other, all my brothers.
Right.
This is how we rock. So I want you guys to really, follow each other. Y'all in the comments, y'all be here all the time. Just follow each other anyway. You never know what can happen.
Exactly.
A lot of people on here running businesses and doing all kind of stuff. Tashura got the t-shirts and the bling stuff, and y'all really need to, seriously. Y'all need
Love Tucker got a novel. 2024.
Yep. So let's do this thing. We always gonna push this. Like I said again, Tony Watts. We always talk about community, building community, making a better community, and we got to start with us. It starts one by one, and we're gonna build this thing. So on that note, we're gonna get out of here. Thank everybody for coming. We appreciate you. We love you. Come back next week, same time, same place. Come back Monday night, 8 p.m. Choose your poison, get it in however you can, and we will see you. Soapbox Stand Up and Speak. Rick put it in the comments, so go there on Instagram, follow him. I'm on another show tomorrow too. I'm gonna be on Royalty TV tomorrow night. Y'all, if you follow me, I'll put it on the website and all of that. But I'm booked and busy this week.
Yes, let's go.
I'm gonna be on here with Erica again. We're gonna keep it moving. So on that note, y'all have a great night. We appreciate you, love you, and all that. Make sure that you take care of yourselves. I know this stuff going around, the Delta, whatever this thing. Just take care of yourselves. Be safe.
Yep.
Take care of the old ones, the young ones, everybody in between, and take care of yourselves. That's it, and that's all.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach.